Howdy everybody, I'm Louise Miller Cohen. I'm a native of Hilton Head Island and I'm a member of the fifth generation of my family. Welcome to the Gullah Museum of Hilton Head Island. When you look at this house, you are looking at history, the Gullah Geechee history of Hilton Head Island. This house is 90 years old. It belongs to my uncle, William Dewey Simmons. It is the only restored Gullah Geechee house on Hilton Head Island today. So I welcome you to visit with us and just kind of listen just to see what we are doing on the site. We are really keeping the Gullah Geechee culture, heritage, history, and all that alive, because when you come to the site is dedicated to preserving the Gullah Geechee cultural heritage on Hilton Head Island. This is the educational site. So what you would find here, like I said before, you would find a house that was built in its original spot. This is where it was built. What is so important about the site and why am I so proud about it? I'm proud about it because my great-grandfather that purchased this land was a slave. And when they got, after the Civil War, he came through Mitchellville. He came through the Mitchellville experience. When he escaped from Ladies Island, he escaped so he could come to Hilton Head to be free. And that's what happened. After going through the Mitchellville experience, and of course you know that was an experience that lasted from 1862 to 1865, and of course there's some discrepancy and all that with the difference with the time. So I might be a little bit off on that. But after that Mitchellville experience, and they left Mitchellville, what happened to the people? After the Civil War, what happened to the people? Well, the people was given an opportunity to purchase land. I know you probably heard of this 40 acres and a mule. I can tell you that did not happen on Hilton Head. Our people wasn't given anything. They purchased the land. So my great-grandfather purchased 15 acres of land here on Wild Horse Road, okay? This is the family complex, okay? So from Clifford Miller Drive, which is his grandson, or great-grandson, and to Dewey Hill, these are all a part of the property that William Simmons bought. And of course, he proudly wrote in his deposition that he purchased 15 acres of land on the site. So I'm gladly sharing it with you. And we have a lot of other things going on the site. So like I said before, the house was built right here in its original spot. But over the years, of course, the house went down, and but I could not let it go. So we restored this house in 2010. Okay, thanks to some guys right here on Hilton Head Island, and so that was phase one of the restoration project. Okay, now where I raised up from 9 months old was right across the road, not in that nice trailer over there that say 187, okay, not in that nice mobile home, but in a 5-room structure just like this, okay. And in that yard was the house that I raised up in from 9 months old, and I call it today Mama's house, okay. But 2 other structures was in that yard, and also the body of an 18-wheeler. But I got all this instruction from God that I kind of wrestled with for years, nobody but me, because I couldn't really say what was really on my mind to other people, because people, when they saw the condition that this house was in, most times we just let it go. But I could not let this one go. So God actually told me that I was not to destroy anything that I grew up with. I was to preserve everything. Back then, when he said those words to me, I did not understand, but I do understand today, because of what he said to me is that we have our culture and heritage alive here on Hilton Head. So those houses was relocated over on this side, okay? So you would find a little house with the red cover on it, and then you would find another one over there. So those houses are telling the story of how our people lived back in the day. Okay, they housed the people that came here to harvest tomato, squash, and cucumber. Anybody else, because that was seasonal, anybody else needed a place to stay, of course they could stay in either one of those houses. The silver trailer over there, what is so special about that? That is the body of an 18-wheeler. But we found out more about that because the tags was actually hanging on the back of the trailer. And but it's amazing how our people, the Gullah Geechee people, had to take whatever was available to them and they made do. Okay, so when my grandmother and my aunt house burned down in 1965, they came to live with us. Grandmother was like in her 80s, but my Aunt Rena was still a younger woman who wanted her own space. We call her Sister Rena. Well, Sister Rena did not have money to build a house. There were no mobile home available at that time. There were no habitat to help people get a house. So my cousin husband purchased the body of that 18-wheeler from Sea Pines, brought it on the site. They partitioned it off and made living quarters for my Aunt Rena. Well, that trailer really is the body of a Great Dane trailer. Last year, while visitors came, I was telling them the story. Little did I know at the time that God had an answer in one of the visitors that came on November 30th, 2019. And when I talk about the trailer and I mentioned Great Dane, the guy told me that he was affiliated with Great Dane. He knew the people, so he could connect us with Great Dane. And so that's not the end of that trailer. That trailer is going to be hopping and popping on the site after a while. I'm not going to go into it, but they're going to see what's going to happen. But you see from here that we actually have a ramp that go up to the trailer, and like I said, that's going to be our surprise for 2021. So when people visit here, I always say they're going to be able to step back in time and see what life was like for our people here on Hilton Head Island back in the day. So when you come here, you're going to see how we actually got water back in the day before we could turn the faucet on and all that. That's going to be another piece of the surprise when you come, okay? And of course, I have a battle right over there. That battle helps tell the story of how our people got to this island. So you know, you got more than one side of the family to talk to, because you got your mama side and you got your daddy side, and you got mama and mama daddy. You got daddy mama and daddy. So you really got about 4 groups of people that you're going to talk about. So I just told you a little bit about my grandmother's side. Her dad bought this property. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my grandfather's mom and dad. Okay? Now, you know, when our people was brought here, they were sold off at the auction block in Charleston, South Carolina, and sold off to various plantations. Okay, so my great was sold off to the plantation on Edisto Island. Okay, so a lot of the slaveholders at that time had more than one plantation, so it was nothing to them. They thought we was cattle or animals to split our family. So our family was split, and they had to leave families behind when they were split and taken to Rose Hill Plantation. So my great-great-grandparents were really slaves on Rose Hill Plantation, okay? And they went through slavery, and of course, I'm just gonna speed it up a little bit by telling you that when it is amazing back in the day how people didn't have telephones and there were no emails. but the word got around. Okay, so they knew all about what was happening. They knew all about the Civil War. They knew all about it. And of course, they couldn't wait for the time to come for them to escape. Well, our people are really builders. They build their own houses. They build boats and stuff. So when the time came for them to escape, I'm sure they already had the boat. The boat was called a bateau, B-A-T-E-A-U. Someone said to me, "Oh, Louise, that's a French word." I said, "Oh, well, you know." But so when it was time for him to make his escape, it was a tedious journey for him to escape with his wife and 3 children. But that's what he did. And he rowed that boat all the way from Sawmill Creek, and that's behind Rose Hill Plantation, all the way to Mitchellville. And people would talk about it. I would hear the older people talking about how the tide was. That's the tide, and the current was so strong because the way they describe it, it was 2 tides met. And it was a problem for you to cross over, but God gave my great-great-grandfather the strength, the determination, the desire, and all that, and they made it. So he escaped with his wife and 3 children. But let me tell you something, that was a challenge for him, because the younger child was between 2 and 3 years old. She heard she felt the commotion, and she felt that something was different going on around her. So she started to cry, and they could not make her stop crying. So he was not going to let this little toddler come between his family, and freedom. So he told his wife to actually throw the baby overboard. But I thank God for her, because I guess God spoke to her and told her just what to do to help them to escape. So this baby that they could not stop her from crying, she actually put the baby in her bosom, where the baby's mouth then would be to her chest, and that would muffle the baby's cry. And they made their way on to Hilton Head Island. Had she thrown that baby overboard, look what would have happened. I would not be here today to talk to you. Galen would not be here. None of us would be here, because those people are our roots. That's where we came from. So he made his way to Mitchellville, as tedious as it was. Went to Mitchellville, connect there, and of course joined with the with those guys, and went through that experience and got honorably discharged from that. And when that experiment was over, then they were given the privilege to purchase land. Caesar Jones is his name, and Mariah Jones was his wife. Caesar Jones purchased over 100 and some acres of land in Jonesville, and that's where, when you go across that bridge that has now been dedicated, and it's called Charlie Simmons Bridge. When you go across that bridge, on the right-hand side, across from the Coens, you will see Jonesville's sign. That Jonesville is named after him. Like Mitchellville is named after General Oglesby Mitchell. Jonesville is named after Caesar Jones. Okay, so he purchased over 100 and some acres of land there, and of course, the land is passed on in the family from generation to generation. So his great are still living on the land today. So it is a beautiful story to be told, and it is my job to tell the story. And I don't know a lot of times how things happen. And we say coincidence. There is no coincidence with a lot of things, because when I first got an email, a computer that I need to come up with an email address, I don't know why, but something say HHI Storyteller, and that is my email address. But what am I doing but telling the story of the Gullah Geechee people here on Hilton Head Island? So I'm just being led by God, and if you just let him lead you, gosh, no telling what might happen, because he's not going to lead you wrong, but he will lead you into doing what he would have you to do. So it's a lot going on here on this site, We're trying to keep it as natural and as real as we possibly can. Some things I guess I'm just trying to forget, I'm not even thinking about, like the mulberry tree. We had one over there, and because it was kind of, on the edge of the property, we cut it down, and the next thing I knew, a tree grew right there, because God wanted me not to ever forget how to make mulberry wine. That's our tradition. So we got this mulberry tree here, and of course it bears like early May, so I can come and get mulberry from here and continue to make mulberry wine that I can share with the guests who come to the site. So I expect God to do great and mighty things on this site, and I expect the children to come here so they can be taught about their culture. And it's amazing to see the kids sometimes walk from the school here to the Gullah Museum site. So we're here, and I know things are different this year, 2020. I always felt like 2020 was going to be a different year, but I did not know that it was going to be all about COVID-19. So I know we have to change up a little bit this year, so I know we're going to be going virtually a lot. But we're going to have a lot on our website, because that's the way we're going to have to go. And I don't know when we will be able to entertain guests back on the site where people will be able to walk through the house. I don't know when we're going to be able to do that, but anyway, thank God for technology that we can still share what is on the site, and there's a lot more to be. So I'm not talking about what's coming. What's coming is going to be a surprise. So we will see what the future holds. We're going to see what 2021 holds. So if anybody want to get in touch with us, our website is www.gullahmuseumhhi.org. Okay, my telephone number is 843-681-3254. If they want to email me, it's hhistoryteller@aol.com. So again, thank you everybody. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.